The sun bled through the clouds, painting the prehistoric sky in shades of fire and gold. The forest stretched endlessly, a living cathedral of ferns, towering conifers, and echoing cries of distant beasts. In the heart of this ancient world moved a shadow, powerful, silent, and purposeful. The Albertosaurus, king of the northern plains, emerged from the mist. His scales shimmered under the fading sunlight, a mix of black and bronze that blended perfectly with the trees. His eyes, a deep amber hue, scanned the horizon. Every sound, every rustle of leaves, every movement in the wind. He felt it. This land was his kingdom. Nearby, herds of Centrosaurus grazed near a shallow lake. The predator crouched low, tail balancing, nostrils flaring. For hours he waited, patience carved into his instincts by generations of survival. A young Centrosaurus strayed too far from the group. That single mistake sealed its fate. The Albertosaurus charged. The ground trembled beneath his thunderous stride. Birds scattered into the air, leaves spiraled in the wind, and in a blink, the predator was upon the prey. His jaws clamped down with a crushing force, echoing like thunder through the valley. The world turned silent again, except for the sound of breathing, heavy and victorious. The hunt was over. But somewhere beyond the forest, a deeper sound rolled through the land. A roar, low and ancient, from another rival. The Albertosaurus froze. His crest lifted slightly, eyes narrowing. That voice didn't belong to prey. It belonged to something bigger. As twilight deepened, he stood tall, blood on his teeth, staring into the darkness beyond the trees. The northern wind carried the scent of challenge. And in that moment, the king of the north knew. Another hunter had come. The world of the Albertosaurus was about to change. Days passed. The valley of the northern forest grew restless. Storms brewed endlessly across the horizon, lightning flashing over dark skies. The Albertosaurus stalked through the muddy terrain, following strange tracks left near the riverbanks. Massive footprints, claw marks deeper than any he had seen before. At first, he thought it was another of his kind, but the scent was wrong. Sharper, musky, filled with aggression. He followed the trail deeper into the fog. The air grew heavy, and from the shadows emerged a monstrous silhouette. A Tyrannosaurus juvenile, younger yet larger in build, eyes glowing with hunger. The two predators locked eyes. The forest around them fell silent. The air between them vibrated with tension. Neither moved. Suddenly, lightning struck a nearby tree, splitting it apart in a burst of fire and sound. That was the spark. The younger Tyrannosaur roared and lunged, jaws open wide. The Albertosaurus dodged, using his agility, faster, lighter, but just as deadly. Their bodies collided with earth-shattering force. Mud splashed, trees cracked, and thunder rolled across the heavens. They clashed again and again, claws tearing through flesh, tails whipping like steel. Blood soaked the ground. The Albertosaurus fought with experience, every movement guided by instinct and memory of countless battles. The Tyrannosaur was powerful, but reckless. Finally, with one swift strike, the Albertosaurus knocked his rival into the river. The younger beast roared in fury and pain, dragged downstream by the raging current. The king stood victorious, though wounded. His body scarred, his strength tested. He roared into the storm, a sound that carried across miles, shaking the very heart of the forest. The land had heard the call of its ruler once again. But even kings can't see the future. And in the north, change was coming, carried by the ice and the whisper of extinction. Seasons shifted. The lush forests began to wither. Snow fell for the first time in centuries, blanketing the once green land in silence. The Albertosaurus trudged through the white wasteland, every breath visible in the frozen air. Food was scarce. The rivers froze solid. Many of the smaller creatures had vanished. Still, the predator endured, hunting with ruthless precision. His kingdom had turned into a graveyard of bones and ice, yet he refused to surrender. One morning, beneath a crimson dawn, he found a carcass, a fallen Ankylosaurus. Weak but desperate, he approached carefully. But as he began to feed, another shape moved in the mist. A pack of Troodon, small and swift, eyes glowing like embers. They circled him, testing his patience. The Albertosaurus lifted his head, his breath fogging the air. He didn't roar, not yet. He waited. When the first Troodon leaped, he spun with terrifying speed, jaws snapping through the air. In seconds, the ground was painted red. The others fled. The king had reminded them who ruled, even in the age of frost. But that victory came at a cost. He was slower now, his wounds older, his body tired. Alone in the endless snow, he lifted his gaze to the sky, where the aurora shimmered faintly, green, blue, gold, a dance of ghosts above his dying world. He roared softly, not in rage, but remembrance. The roar faded into the wind, merging with the sound of the snow. The north was growing silent. Centuries later, silence ruled the land. The snow had buried mountains, and rivers had turned to glaciers. The Albertosaurus's remains lay beneath layers of ice, perfectly preserved, a statue of time itself. Then came the future. Bright lights, machines, and voices speaking languages the ancient king never knew. A team of scientists stood over the frozen body, awe in their eyes. "This one's perfect," said Dr. Liam Hayes, brushing snow from the skull. "We've never found a specimen this complete." They worked for days, excavating carefully, every bone revealing a new story. Cameras recorded everything: documentaries, global headlines, digital fame. The world rediscovered its forgotten monarch. But one night, as the storm howled across the icy dig site, a tremor shook the camp. Machines flickered, the power cut out. In the darkness, a faint sound echoed from the pit, like stone cracking, like ice breathing. The scientists froze. Then, faintly, a sound like a heartbeat. Dr. Hayes stepped closer. "Did anyone hear that?" No one answered. Outside, the wind screamed louder. The heartbeat grew stronger, faster, and then silence. The storm cleared by morning. The team returned to find the excavation pit empty. Only claw marks led into the woods. Something ancient had awakened. The forest was silent again, but not empty. Shadows moved between the trees, and cameras from nearby research drones flickered before dying. In a small town miles away, strange reports began to surface. Tremors, missing livestock, deep roars echoing through the canyons. Locals called it a myth, the spirit of the north. But Dr. Hayes knew better. He returned to the site with his team, tracking the impossible. Then, on a fog-drenched night, they found it. Through the mist, the silhouette of the Albertosaurus emerged, reborn, breathing, alive. His scales shimmered like obsidian, his eyes glowing faint gold. Every movement carried both ancient rage and timeless grace. The humans stood frozen. The beast lowered its head, studying them, not as prey, but as strangers in his world. For a brief, suspended moment, the past and future looked at each other. Then, with a deep rumble, the king turned away, vanishing into the forest. Dr. Hayes whispered, "He's not a monster. He's a survivor." The camera drone caught one last image. The Albertosaurus walking beneath the northern lights, snow falling gently over his back, his shadow stretching across time itself. And as the screen faded to black, a single line appeared. The king of the north never truly dies. The forest had changed. What was once a frozen graveyard was now alive again. Rivers ran free, trees grew thick, and the air was filled with mist and the scent of rain. But among this beauty, a new terror stirred. The Albertosaurus moved through the dense ferns with careful steps. His muscles rippled beneath his dark hide, every sense alert. Centuries trapped in ice had not broken his instinct. It had sharpened it. He hunted with the precision of a ghost from another time. A herd of Hadrosaurus grazed by the water's edge. Their calls echoed through the valley, unaware of the predator watching them from the shadows. The Albertosaurus crouched low, tail stretched, eyes locked. His breathing slowed. The air stilled. Then, with a burst of speed, he exploded from the foliage, a blur of power and fury. The herd panicked, splashing through the river as the ground shook beneath their feet. One young hadrosaur stumbled, and that was enough. The Albertosaurus struck with merciless force, jaws closing around its neck. The hunt was over in seconds, but the king's return had not gone unnoticed. Far above the trees, drones from the scientific outpost circled silently. Dr. Hayes watched the live feed in disbelief. "It's him," he whispered. "He's adapting faster than we imagined." Behind him, a government official frowned. "This isn't just a discovery anymore, Doctor." "It's a threat." Hayes turned sharply. "He's part of nature." "Not an enemy?" But the order had already been given. Military units were moving in. Meanwhile, deep in the forest, the Albertosaurus lifted his head from the river, blood still dripping from his jaws. He could sense something new, a sound unfamiliar to his world. Metal. Engines. The hum of machines cutting through the wilderness. He roared into the forest, a sound that rolled like thunder through the mountains. It was both a warning and a challenge, the ancient king announcing his reign to the modern world.